Hello, welcome to Hat Green's Secret Nuclear Bunker. I'm Lucy, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about radioactivity. Most people don't know what that is, so I'm going to tell you what it is and some of the things that we can do with it. So here we go. First things first, we start with the smallest thing in the world, the atom. Everything is made up of atoms. They are so small that there are around 1.2 quintillion atoms in a single grain of salt. Atoms are made up of little bits. They are protons, neutrons, and electrons. Protons and neutrons are best buddies, so they hang out in the middle, and that's called the nucleus. And electrons are super busy, so they whiz around the outside, and that's called the shell. How many of each of the protons, neutrons, and electrons changes what the atom will do and be like. And these different types of atoms are made into groups that we call elements. Elements are like building blocks, and using those building blocks we can make anything. For example, if you take two elements, hydrogen and oxygen, and put them together, you can make water. So I'm going to make a simple element, carbon. Now elements can be the same but have slight differences. These different types of the same element are called isotopes. So we are making the element carbon, and the isotope is carbon-12. So I need 6 protons and 6 neutrons, and that's the nucleus of carbon-12. And he's a pretty chill dude. He's happy, sitting about being all neutral with his protons and neutrons. He's an atom with a stable nucleus. Now I'm going to give him an extra 2 neutrons. Whoops! Now he's not so chill. He's got a few too many neutrons, and now he's the isotope carbon-16. Because he's got too many neutrons, or if he was a different isotope with too few, then that makes him extra stressed and an unstable nucleus. When an atom has an unstable nucleus, it's desperate to get back to normal, and spontaneously it pops and bursts into separate nuclei that are nice and stable. This pop is called decay. And when it happens, the atom shoots out a burst of energy. This is radiation. Radiation is a bit like when you put your hands near something hot and you can feel the heat even though you're not touching the hot thing. That's invisible heat radiation. So these unstable, stressed out, unhappy nuclei are bursting out radiation. And that makes our isotopes like this radioisotopes. That's how you know that they're making radiation. We call this whole strange thing radioactivity because it's the activity of the radiation of these nuclei. So I know that was a whole lot of science. Don't worry, that's the hard bit. So basically, radioactivity is caused by unstable nuclei decaying, that's bursting to you and me, and shooting out energy when they do it. There are loads and loads of radioisotopes, and there are a few ways that we can put them into groups. One way is by measuring how strong they are. You have 3 different groups of radiation: alpha, beta, and gamma. We can work out which is which by the different things that can stop that radiation by absorbing it. This radiation energy coming out of the atom is invisible and can go through things a bit like a ghost, or a bit like sound. You can hear sound even though it's invisible and even though it might be in a different room. So radiation is the same. It's silently and secretly going through things, but depending on which type it is, you can stop it. So alpha is absorbed by paper, beta is absorbed by aluminium, and gamma, the strongest, is only absorbed by thick lead or specially designed thick concrete. That is what the bunker is made out of, specially protected concrete, to stop the radiation that comes out of a bomb getting inside. A radioactive thing, such as a rock or a cat, is called a source. If you want to work out how much radiation is coming from a source, this is measured in millisieverts. You can measure it with scientific equipment like these Geiger counters, which we have lots of at the museum. Things don't stay radioactive forever though. Remember that the nucleus pops into safer, non-radioactive atoms? Remember that was called decay. Now, it's a complete surprise when that will happen. It could be now or in a million years. So how do you tell how long things will keep being radioactive? Well, in life there's never just one atom on its own. They stick together in families, making elements, or in bigger groups, making a material. A radioactive material is made up of lots of these same radioisotope atoms. Scientists can measure how long it takes for half of all those atoms to go bang, and this is called a half-life. That means the material will only get less and less radioactive from there as it uses up all the unpopped nuclei over time. These half-lives are really important for knowing how long it can take for radiation to decay and die off in the material. Some of them are really, really long and some are super short. The shortest half-life is copernicium, 285, with a half-life of just 29 seconds. And the longest is tellurium, 128, with a half-life of 2.2 sextillion years. That's this many. That's longer than scientists think the sun will exist. Lots of people think radiation is scary because you can't see it or see what it's doing, and it makes them think of bombs, nuclear disasters, or radioactive spiders. But really, radioactivity is all around us. Radiation can be a natural source and comes from rocks in the ground, natural gases, and from space. That's called cosmic radiation. We have found lots of ways to use radiation in the modern world. So here's a few radioisotopes, what we use them for, and how long their half-lives are. Californium-252 has a half-life of 2.6 years, and we use it to start up nuclear power plants and to treat some cancers. Krypton-85, with a half-life of 10.8 years, isn't just Superman's weakness. We use it in some electric and fluorescent lamps and in photography flashlights. Plutonium-238 has a half-life of 87.8 years, and even though it sounds scary, it can be used for generators and in pacemakers. All of you will have the next one in your home somewhere. Americium-238 is used in smoke detectors and also in aircraft fuel gauges, and it has a half-life of 432 years. So you see, radiation can be super useful. So to wrap up, radiation comes from unstable nuclei in atoms bursting open and shooting out energy. These are radioisotopes. This radiation sends out energy that we can't see, smell, hear, or taste. There are 3 types of radiation, alpha, beta, and gamma, that can only be stopped by certain things. Radiation is measured in millisieverts with a Geiger counter. How long things stay radioactive for is called the half-life, and this is when half of the atoms have decayed. Radiation is all around us and can be used in lots of helpful ways. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. I know that I did. And thanks for all of your support so far in general. I know it's a really tough time for a lot of people, so everything that you're doing to support us is really appreciated. You may have noticed that we are down to 1 video a week. That's because there's a lot still going on and there's nobody here now. So rather than us struggle and be inconsistent with it, I'd rather make 1 good video a week. So we're trying to make 1 really good video a week for you guys. Other than that, everything's okay. I hope you guys are all okay. And our item of the week last week was our light strike vehicle used by the SAS, and today's item is